Hello everyone, I'm Marcia and I am about to hold you a presentation refuting the claim that Darwinism is responsible for most of the mass murder in the 20th century. Because many people on the internet are saying that Hitler, Stalin and Mao were motivated by Darwinism, and in my opinion this is one of the most historically inaccurate statements one can say. There are a number of problems with that claim. First of all, this is an obvious appeal to consequences fallacy. Consequences of a belief are irrelevant to belief being true, except perhaps for beliefs about meta-ethics. So even if Darwinism did motivate mass murder in the 20th century, that would be relevant to the question of whether Darwinism is true. Second, what about all the ethnic cleansing and mass murder that happened before Darwin? The Song dynasty in the 11th century China also engaged in ethnic cleansing and, according to some estimates, killed around a third of China's population. They could not have possibly been motivated by Darwinism. They lived 8 centuries before Darwin. In the bloodiest century in recorded history was not the 20th century, it was arguably the 13th century, when Genghis Khan killed more people than Hitler did in a world where the total human population was much lower than today. He wasn't motivated by Darwinism, he lived 6 centuries earlier. So even if the mass murderers of the 20th century were saying they were motivated by Darwinism, you could easily argue that it was just a convenient rhetoric. But the third and most important point, none of the mass murderers in the 20th century claimed to even believe in Darwinism, yet alone being motivated by Darwinism. Adolf Hitler repeatedly stated that he believed that he was pleasing the Creator with his ethnic cleansing. And all the evidence we have suggests that he believed in some form of Christianity. When he got married in a bunker, he invited a Catholic priest to speak at his wedding, even though there were only 5 people in the room. Why would an atheist do that? And more importantly, he was not a Darwinist. In fact, teaching Darwinism was banned in Nazi Germany. Now, Stalin and Mao, it is a little more complicated. While they were indeed atheists, they were not Darwinists. Stalin and Mao believed in Lysenkoism, which is a form of Lamarckism. They didn't believe in evolution by natural selection as advocated by Darwin, but in evolution by inheritance of acquired characteristics. That the biggest factor in evolution weren't genes, but the epigenetics. Darwin claimed that giraffes have long necks because giraffes with shorter necks couldn't fetch the leaves of the trees and starved to death. Lamarck and Lysenko claimed that giraffes' necks got longer as they were stretching them to fetch the leaves of the trees, and that the children of the giraffes therefore also got larger necks. Darwinism is, as we now know, a lot closer to the truth. But Stalin embraced Lysenkoism because Lysenkoism emphasized natural cooperation rather than natural competition, and Stalin claimed that it was therefore more compatible with communism, and Mao basically followed Stalin. Lysenko was suggesting all kinds of agricultural policies based on his theories, including dense planting wheat plants close to one another, and, needless to say, cause ecological catastrophes and famine. Trying to conquer nature we don't understand instead of trying to minimize the impact we have on nature almost always leads to catastrophes. Furthermore, Mao went a few steps further, such as recommending killing the birds thinking they were destroying the crops, leading to an even greater ecological catastrophe, as well as the largest famine in human history. And teaching Darwinism was banned in both the Soviet Union and the Mao's China. So to reiterate, neither Hitler nor Stalin nor Mao believed in Darwinism. However, there is one important politician of the 20th century who claims to be motivated by Darwinism, and that is Woodrow Wilson, the American president during World War I. He advocated interventionist policies, namely the idea that America should be the world's policeman, trying to make wars around the world less bloody. This idea would have been alien to the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson said that he was glad that God divided the dry lands of the Western Hemisphere from the dry lands of the Eastern Hemisphere so that America can more easily stay neutral to the wars in Europe. To Woodrow Wilson, however, that idea seemed outdated. Woodrow Wilson thought that America needs to adapt or else it will die out like the extinct species during the Darwinian evolution. However, I think we can all agree that America's interventionism doesn't play a major role in shaping the history. Japan would have lost World War II even without the America's nuclear weapons. Croatia would have won the Yugoslav wars even without the NATO bombings of Belgrade. America's interventionism might have made those wars slightly less bloody, and even that is questionable. So, did Darwinism play a role in the mass murders in the 20th century? Maybe indirectly and around the corners. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.